Hello.
Ah, you found it.
I got it.
Okay.
There I am in all my glory.
Excellent. Okay, so let's get started.
Yes.
Excuse me. Okay, we are on page Chav Gimel.
Yes. Chof Gimel Ice Yud Beis.
The base. Okay, Lamad. Amalah Zuzu is interesting language. This toil. So Mar Haskala, becoming more intellectual. In other words, basing things on reason as opposed to self-love. And they don't die much as man makfar amabli. It's okay. It's not good enough that which you already worked in for a while and became distant from love of self. Then rely on your laurels, what you accomplished previously. You have to constantly work without any distraction on not focused on distracting yourself from love of self and focusing on that intellectual aspect. Losif kol od you have to work on this as long as you're associated with other people. Losif amalon to add toil. This is the way sages conduct themselves. Okay, therefore, AC karmi krat should the occasion arise. Shamayim from them is liftorah tell me olet tzibur. They should be exempted from the role in the community. Levat mashis atzvu. It's true that these people will be upset on the lack of advantages they can now afford to others. But opposite this, or in contradistinction, they are happy. Because a great worry has left them. So the Alter of Kelm has a whole kuntras, a whole essay, which is a very long one, about mazakas arabim, about how a person has to work on trying to benefit others. And Navardik was particularly big on going out, establishing yeshivas, and having an impact. Kelm, not so much. Kelm was much more into internal avoda, personal avoda. So he's saying, yeah, a person has to be involved in the tzibur, but he's also have to tell the Alter of Kelm he has to get involved with the tzibur. But when he leaves that avoda, whether it leaves him, like happened to the Alter of Kelm in Grubin when Talmud Torah closed down or some other circumstances, then it's true. You should be concerned. It's unfortunate that he can no longer have the advantages to provide the other people. But our corresponding, in contrast, distinction to this, or in direct opposition, this removes him a great worry. I would say he has to be concerned with others. And the concern with others is going to not allow him to work on himself enough. Umasmidim otzem ashmira, and this way, if a person does not have to be involved with the cloud, the tzibur, so this gives this gives him a constant safeguarding, misrachus mitachlis ma'avas atzmo, and ultimate distancing from love of self. So he says here, because he says here on page Chof that person who's involved with others, ef shar shalolia kulo chanef. The second column, the sixth line from the bottom. Person who's involved with others, he cannot be but chanef, a flatterer, right, a lackey. So therefore, he can rejoice when he no longer has to be involved in these public endeavors, because he can now be more authentic, and he won't be vying for his own love, evidently through that chanifa, but he'll be able to be independent and objective. You gimel, learn that the way of the wise, but when they're dealing with the masses, to enhance the quality and diminish the quantity. Hefach minagolem, this is the opposite of the minhag of the world. Because a little bit of refined substance, hu rab, is really more than the mass of unrefined substance. So that's why the Alter of Kelm says they'd rather find a small group of people who would be willing to get hashpah from him than many people, right? Who are not going to have that kind of problem, which is not going to have the same hashpah. Yudalit, the power of love itself. Who abodazara no ra'ah. It's a terrible idolatry. The care of labor adam with a person's heart. And this we're commanded. Lo yebcha el zar. Don't have a foreign god within you. Becha kel el zar. Should be inside you a foreign god. Okay. Ikaram al adam. Therefore, the main play of a person is the shari shacharov, to uproot that love of self. Lo kasher rabbi chashvu lichisaron kal. It's not like people think it's just a light shortcoming. Egoismus. In other words, egotism. People think egotism is a small problem. It's a big problem. And some fools will take praise in their love of self, which is a word I don't recognize. Samolubitz. Let's see if
I don't know the word.
What?
I don't know the word.
Let's see what happens with the Google search. I don't think it's going to bring up anything significant, but some Samach Mem Aleph. Bets. No, doesn't come up with anything.
I asked my mother about the other word we had, and she never heard of it.
Okay.
So she asked her cousin, and then she never heard of it either.
Really? There is a name, Smolovich, but that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's obviously a Russian word or some name. Russian word. Let's look at Smolovich. No, also name. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Tesba. Lamanu get line. We learned. Keder Yiskarvus Lames, the parameters of becoming drawing close to truth. Obviously, the more one loves itself, the more best interest one has, the more negias a person has, the less it's going to be able to perceive truth. This is a beautiful, this is a very wondrous aspect. Okay. The more you listen for love of self, the more you get truth. You assume it works the other way as well. The more you get truth, the more you distance yourself from love of self. Distance yourself from love of self. Probably sort of both ways. So the one could spend a long time speaking about that. I'm sure one can. This is how a person should test when he's involved with the masses. No say. I think what he means is by the extent to which he distances himself from love of self. According to that, a person involved with the masses will be tested. In other words, according to this, we figure out whether he's the real McCoy or not the real McCoy. It's the obligation of everybody to bear a burden together with other people. The chayfetz, the chapetz hatzlacha sab, and they wanted other people's success. Gam comes to tzarich listing yad lepeh in place, so they have to remain silent. Or makom shemek for a place where their own cover will be diminished. The Zomar has sevel, to be willing to tolerate. Literally in modern Hebrew means to be patient, means to be tolerant. He who bechino, this is an aspect. It says kashrus in preparing oneself, lebakashas emes, to the quest for truth. So the nosib olim chavero, bearing the burden with one's friend, is especially in place where it's diminished one's own honor. That is what is essential in order to quest for truth. The quest for truth. When I see nosib olim chavero, how truth
Right.
is.
How close he comes is shown by how much he's willing to sacrifice.
Yeah. So things in the Mishnah itself, when it talks about nosib olim chavero, it's one of the 48 ways in which Torah is acquired. So obviously, if that's 48 ways in which Torah is acquired, one way of acquiring truth is by nosib olim chavero, to bear the burden with one's friend. So okay, Yud Zayin. Lamanu masha ogos achin lishma. We heard something which we never heard before. Chiddush lifan, astonishing and chiddush. So sign yishok, the lips should be kissed. Geder haseichel lidrosh atzaz godam imenu. The parameters of the logic are to quest for the counsel of someone who's greater than oneself. Yan Gadru, since they have already been able to fortify themselves, literally fence themselves, these chakem liyashus kol davar, to be wise, to see the straight path and everything. That's why you should give yourself over to the words of chacham, like what's this required from his talmidim, to listen to his discipline. And the definition of ratzon is to do what your heart desires. So therefore, a person should not ask for suggestion. Okay, I'm not sure at least Chakos works out here. But what he's saying is that if you're attached to a great person, don't ask him eitzes. Because eitzes, counsel, advice is just a pretense to get to the point of straight thinking or straight functioning. In other words, it's not the right derech. It's not the same idea. You shouldn't go to ask for an eitzah. What should you do instead? What you should do instead is a true Talmud who's really going to be mushba doesn't ask for eitzes, because eitzes means I give you counsel, which is not necessarily what I do for myself. A person who's a true Baal Mussar is going to just not ask the questions. She's going to go and emulate his Rebbe, whatever it is, and not deviate right or left. So then in that case, Shomer Eitzel Os. Yes, he's accepting counsel. He's accepting counsel of something which is os, means something which is a sign, something which is demonstrably true. He's getting an os in that he's getting os that he's an ish sichli. He's a rational person, who masculine, and he has become intelligent. Whereas there is no external os. If you know that you're connected to a person who's a sage, a wise man, that in of itself is the os. That you are, and you're doing what he does, that is itself is the os, that you are doing the right thing. And that your Ratzon is the Ratzon Hashem. He's an intelligent person, and he does intelligent things. Therefore, Yecham Sof Kol Sof. Then final analysis, who becomes a chacham. When he then comes to know and understand the ways of the Chacham. And somebody who does not quest and doesn't even look for an Eitzah, Laos, this shows Kibal Ratzonu. Ratzon Gidro mi bli litva Eitzah. And the Ratzon, the will, does not, its parameter is not to demand counsel, Lorak Mizula, so Gamiat Molo, not even from himself. Ki Gidro vil vil. He wants what he wants.
What he wants.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. Going back to the first page, the previous page, I mean. I'm so sure about that because now that after he says that, I think it reaches it is good. It's not just mimicking. I got it now. Let's go back to the first page. Okay. I just parsed it wrong. The Gedar Ratzon. The definition of Ratzon is lasos mashli b'chafetz, to do what your heart demands, emotionally. The Chaim Bayidrosh Eitzah, the Ratzon, is never going to ask for an Eitzah. Because Eitzah is logical counsel. And the heart does not want logical counsel. It says, Kidrisha Eitzah, when you ask for an Eitzah, it's to perceive. Kol Yosef Yashus, or I guess Lischakos, to be able to absorb the more and more the points of straightness. And to do and it come in, do everything according to Yashrus, according to the Eitzah. But do not to forsake the Eitzah right or left. If somebody is Shomea Eitzah, somebody does listen to counsel. This is proof. Somebody listens to proof. It's Eitzah. He's an intelligent person and he's trying to achieve intelligence. Okay? And therefore, Yechkam Sov Koso. A person looks for Eitzahs. If I don't ask, it will become a chacham. It will work out. When he's going to recognize through eitzos the pathways of a chacham. If somebody doesn't yearn for it, doesn't ask for an eitzah, it shows he doesn't want to be good. He doesn't want to necessarily be good. He certainly doesn't want to be intellectual and MS in his thought, right? Because he's not looking for eitzos. Mm-hmm. Right? So he's defined as a Baal Ratzon and follows his heart, not his hand. Of course, Ratzon doesn't want eitzos, he wants the thing. So doesn't want eitzos not just from others, also not from himself. The definition of Ratzon leads point to the Alter of Kelm his ear is vile ervil because he wants. Because it's like I forget who it was, but the Edmund Hillary's Sherpa companion when he went to Mount Everest was asked, "Why do you climb Mount Everest?" And you know the answer was
because it's there.
Because it is there, correct. So because it is there is a Ratzon answer. It's not a Seichel answer. You idiot. You know, you're putting yourself in a place of grave danger, right? Just to say because it is there, it's Ratzon, not Seichel. If they asked an eighth of anybody, they wouldn't go. So the What good will all eitzos do, which indicate an obligation, and points of straightness, of things, against the will. The whole inyan of somebody doesn't give up himself, all his matters, both in the soul, and the body. Only to them according to the counsel of the sage, the ratio they are, who knows how to analyze and expound his success. If he doesn't go for eight, it's a sign keep our ratzonu. He has a ratzon. He put the opposite of intellectual thoughts. The clouding of Rak Malach Abbas Atzmo. All he's doing is doing out of love of self. Shari Badon Rachman L'Sayachu. They'll go to the gate of destruction. This is very, very awesome. The Chiddush Nifa and a wonderful Chiddush. Hepech Hadimya Machshava Keduma. The antithesis of imagination and first thoughts. The Zui Divrei, the Divrei Hatana, Ezu Derech Yishara. That's why Hatana says, what is the Derech Yishara? Al Pi Ger Amram Zal. That's based on what Chazal say. Zach V'Yoshar Pa'alo. Your activity is Zach and Yoshar. Zach is mina taiva varatza, from desire and will. Be a Rabbi Yonah Chassid Zal. How? What's good there for a person who presumes to emulate straightness. If there's nobody to ask a question from, imagine you're asking the question. Let's try and separate, be objective. So he doesn't run after the issues. Only his will is his desire. He won't ask for counsel. How deep and profound, wondrous are these words. So the wondrous words are: if a person must be darish etza because they want to do things which are going to be misakin, the seichel and the sichlius and the muskalos. Person who doesn't do that, so he's, no matter how lofty he thinks this is, it's all part of the ratzon. And it's all part of things which are not going to lead him up, right, but are going to lead him down. Finally, Lamanu is Chachus Gedoyla. We learned a great renewal. Hatori Tachlis Emes. Torah is the ultimate Emes. Bashorim, V'drachim Emes. Well, in pathway, in gateways and pathways to truth, ain't sfuros. There are numerous of pathways to truth. Where it says, "Yein ataynis asikush baruch lasos mochel tzadikim." The Chaim says, Hashem will make a circle for the tzaddikim. And circle points are very often are all separate from each other. Sometimes diametrically opposed to each other, right? The points on the circle, right? This point is diametrically opposed to that point. But they're all equal distance from the middle. So Zekelim Aveh means every derech, which is a legitimate derech, points to Hashem and says, my derech was just as good as your derech. We're all equal distance. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Or this from the center. So there are multiple drachim to Chemes, but Abbasas or Tachlis HaSheker. The love itself is not one of them. It's not on the circle. It's the ultimate sheker. Hamesim Chomo Brich, which puts a wall and a bolt. Gamri Bliros or Mesalomim, they never see the light of truth ever. And he can't get into Torah only by the power of truth. Somebody who was mired in pursuing love of self. He is ultimately his ultimate distance. I guess we have the ultimate despair for him.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
Mila Baba Shariah Torah. The psychologist said, this chakos Larbos to accustom oneself to do all the time the CS Om Zulaso, to bear the burden with one's friend. That's an interesting idea. Bearing the burden is the antithesis of love of self. It's selfless. Umashir said more than above this, his love of self will be diminished. Umimela ayideze, and then it comes out through this, Yosem Machshar becomes more suitable. Yosem Mikrav and closer. MS, with the truth, which is Mavah Torah, which is the introduction Torah. That's in the Milam Nasebo is enumerated Tol Gidre Kinyan Torah. It's only 48 ways of acquiring Torah. This is awesome and lofty. So he's saying that the Siyas Olam Chavero is, in essence, diminishing Abbas Atzmo, and when you diminish Abbas Atzmo, you can get to MS. And that MS is the MS of Torah. Okay, we'll stop here for tonight.
Wow. Yes, very good. Wow.
That
was deep.
Starts a new thing next week. So many of us, I don't think it's related to the previous thing. But
okay, very good.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good
Take
night.
care. You too. Bye-bye.